Let's get you some royal news now. There's plenty of that this morning. Plans are being drawn up for Prince Charles to read the Queen's speech at Parliament if she becomes too ill. The arrangements come amid concerns for Her Majesty's health. It's been revealed her condition is prone to flare-ups, which affect her mobility.
Yeah, let's bring in 9Honey's royal commentator, Natalie Oliveri. Nat, so there's the contingency plans for the Queen for this speech are clearly in place now. The succession of the monarchy is really starting to happen right in front of our eyes.
It really is, and we saw that at the Commonwealth Day service just the other day when Prince Charles and Camilla, the next King and Queen Consort, and then the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, they were there representing the Queen. Now, there are plans underway for the opening of Parliament. This is taking place on May 10 in London. Now, Queen Elizabeth may not attend. At the moment, the event is scheduled in her diary. But look, there are plans underway for Prince Charles to read the Queen's speech. Now, this is the big speech that lays out the government's plan for the next year. It is incredibly important. The Queen has only missed this event twice in her 70-year reign, when she was pregnant with Prince Andrew and Prince Edward. So, look, Prince Charles could be the one to read this. This is believed to be under a plan to have a member of the royal family step in or be on standby just in case Her Majesty is unable to attend a certain event. Now, as you said in the intro, her condition is believed to be something that is prone to flare-ups, and that does affect her mobility. And we saw just a few weeks ago she has cancelled a number of engagements. She has been using a walking stick, and look, her attendance at Prince Philip's memorial tomorrow is still up in the air. We haven't had an official confirmation yet from Buckingham Palace. But look, a number of changes have been made to suit the Queen's comfort at Parliament. She no longer wears the very heavy imperial state crown. She takes the lift and not the stairs. And Prince Charles has been at her side in the past, so we could see him do the Queen's speech this year, but only time will tell.
OK, well, it seems she's very keen to avoid any images of her looking frail. So she's got this new way, I suppose, of getting around these mobility issues as a result.
Yeah, so we're seeing this picture here, and this is believed to be Queen Elizabeth's new, golf buggy that she has been using around Windsor Castle.
Springs for a four-seater, I can see. That's nice.
It's quite a fancy one. It's made by a Danish company. It's about 110,000 Australian dollars. It's got a spot for a fridge, for the corgis. It's got an iPad section, completely weatherproof there as well, and beautiful leather seats. Now, look, as you said, Sylvia, the Queen is really keen to avoid those photographs of her looking frail. There was that famous photograph of Princess Margaret when she was in a wheelchair, looking incredibly old, and that was just a few months before her passing. So the Queen hasn't been using a wheelchair in public, and there are rumours that she may be using it at Prince Philip's memorial tomorrow, but again, we don't know. I think she's likely to be using the walking cane, as we saw her do there in October.
Yeah, I think that's a real shame for the firm to think this way. That that for her to be in a wheelchair at her age somehow lessens the impact of Her Majesty, when we're seeing so much great disability advocates saying, like, it's not a big deal anymore. We can, she's 95, she's in a wheelchair, she's still the Queen in my eyes.
That's right, and people are saying she's still sharp as ever. It's just that it's her mobility that's failing at this time, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with it.
She's 95.
She's going to be 96 next month.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's to be expected.
Look, we were saying about the succession happening in front of our eyes. That has been maybe less successful in the last week, as we've seen with William and Kate. He made an unprecedented statement. He's hinted at the future of the Commonwealth. What has he said? Yeah,
so this is quite a landmark statement from Prince William. These comments were made as he and Kate were flying back to the UK from their 8-day tour of the Caribbean. This was, of course, for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Now, William has hinted that the Commonwealth could be led by someone else other than a British royal, and this would be the first time in its history. The Queen is the first and only head of the Commonwealth, and we have Prince Charles. He has been named as the next head. Look, this position is not hereditary. It is something that is voted in. In 2018, Prince Charles was elected as the next head as per the Queen's wishes, but William says that, look, in the future it may be someone from one of these 54-member Commonwealth countries who could be leading the charge. So that is quite an unprecedented thing. Now, his words, I guess, came after a number of protests following this Caribbean tour. It was accused of being tone deaf, having colonial overtones. So
not apologising for slavery.
He didn't apologise. He did mention the issue, and he did say that, it was an atrocity on Britain's past, but it was in the past, and he certainly didn't apologise. And some are saying that certainly didn't go far enough.
There's a definite shift happening either way.
Absolutely.
Nat, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Turning to royal news and an unprecedented statement from Prince William, the second in line to the throne, saying he may never succeed the Queen as head of the Commonwealth. The comments coming as the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge wrapped up their problem-plagued tour of the Caribbean. For more, we're joined joined by Royal Editor of the Daily Mirror, Russell Myers in East Sussex in the UK. Russell, problem plagued, is that a good description or is that going a bit far?
Morning, Leila. No, I think it's a fair, accurate statement because this tour was plagued with issues right from the very start, and some of them were, completely out of their control. I mean, I don't think they thought that they would necessarily get a reception like they did in certain parts, and I don't think they thought they'd be ambushed by the Jamaican Prime Minister, sort of saying, before they'd even been allowed to sit down, he was telling them about how Jamaica was moving on from British rule and choosing a completely new direction. But they do have to take some responsibility for the PR blunders that they walked into. I mean, they should have had their eyes open to the sensitivities in these three Caribbean nations, and I think there'll be a big inquiry when they're back, and certainly it will change the way tours are done in the future, I think.
Yeah, Prince William seemed to read the room quite well. What do you make of that speech?
Well, both the speech about slavery was well received in some quarters, but then others, campaigners, were saying that he hadn't gone far enough, and that he really needed to look at the detail of that speech. I mean, then when he's talking, giving this evaluation of the tour, saying it's not his job to tell people what to do, he doesn't know whether he would succeed his grandmother and father as head of the Commonwealth. I mean, this is extraordinary because you're thinking, in just 8 days, he's changed the face of the monarchy for the next few decades. And I think certainly that he wouldn't have thought that would have happened. And the Queen's senior advisors, who no doubt got involved at the very, very end of this tour to rescue it, they wouldn't have seen that at the start of the week.
Well, they were really left with no choice, though, weren't they, in the end? He sort of had to acknowledge the mood.
Well, he did. And again, I think it was a case of careering from one PR disaster to the other. I mean, perhaps unfairly, that these were pictures of them in trench towns shaking the hands of these armed, outstretched children through the metal fence of that football field. That was potentially unfair, but they should have really been sensitive to the issues. And in a world that is so key to be across the optics, they certainly weren't. And then riding around in an open-top Land Rover looking like something out of The Crown or a homage to Britain's colonial past, I think that was a particularly damaging affair that they should have had their eyes open when operating in this part of the world.
Yeah, that's their job these days, isn't it? OK, Russell Myers, thank you very much.
Thanks.